Rabia Akhtar, Director, Center for Security, Strategy and Policy Research at University of Lahore, Pakistan. I'm also a non-resident senior fellow South Asia program at the Atlantic Council. Well, there are a number of critical nuclear challenges that are impacting South Asia and its nuclear stability and order. First comes to mind is the induction of dual-use platforms and technologies that not only are blurring the lines between conventional and nuclear domain, but they're also challenging and discrediting the very essence of deterrence which it rests on, which is mutual vulnerability. So that is the first. The second in South Asia is the nuclear flashpoint, which is Kashmir, which continues to be a bone of contention and a mount of brinkmanship, which India, looking to create space for territorial revisionism by the use of force under the nuclear umbrella. India's August 5th actions, they challenge the overall strategic stability in South Asia. And I believe that it has two critical components. One is deterrence stability and the other is crisis stability. And both are, in danger and are fragile. And the third challenge is that there is little to no prospect of arms control agreements or any substantive discussion on new nuclear CBMs or even nuclear risk reduction mechanisms between India and Pakistan, given the total breakdown in bilateral dialogue. So to me, these three are the foremost nuclear challenges in South Asia. So Pakistan has historically remained consistent in stating the need for establishing a strategic restraint regime, which links nuclear restraint to conflict resolution and a slowdown in conventional armament and modernization by India. With that not in sight, Pakistan ought to recalibrate its conventional and nuclear thresholds in a bid to account for disruptive technologies and the convoluted and non-linear dynamics of escalation. Pakistan also has to plug gaps that may arise from techniques of non contact warfare, disinformation, and the growing strategic ramifications of sub conventional actions in our region. I believe following things need to happen. The absolutely critical out of all of that is strategic competition in nuclear arms race. It would have to be brittle. And the world needs to get back to some form of arms control framework which would bind these nuclear weapon states, creating unstable and dangerous strategic environment for each other to operate in our region. More CBMs would need to be instituted, and it doesn't need to be something big. It could be small steps. For example, India and Pakistan have CBM on ballistic missile notification, but there is none on cruise missile notification. There could be limits on the production and induction of hypersonic missiles. If not totally disbanded or produced, at least the production could be delayed and induction could be delayed further by both countries. Furthermore, both countries, have a non-attack, an MOU on non-attack on each other's nuclear facilities. Probably that MOU can be expanded to include, their strategic command and control as non-cyber attack domain. So there are small steps that can be instituted just between this diet, which will have an overall effect in the stability. So that's my first point. The second, I believe, is alliance formation and grouping, whereby smaller states like Pakistan and states like India are compelled to choose one camp over the other. And that's destabilizing and it adds to the security dilemma, which then becomes the main driver of conventional nuclear modernization. As far as the US is concerned, I believe that US should ensure that its strategic partnership with India does not introduce weapons and systems that could embolden and inflict India with a sense of superiority to resort to brazen risk taking. It has to take steps that build its rapport as a credible crisis manager in our region, rather than as a party that is partisan, directly or indirectly. So, this I see as a road forward and a role for each one of these countries to play in bringing stability in our region for those present in the region and our nuclear weapon states, and also extra regional forces like the United States.